The National Industrial Association, supporting agriculture, industry, and America's unparalleled system of distribution. At the NIA, research, innovation, engineering, and the free market system are the key ingredients of our extraordinary prosperity. Join us at the NIA in fighting to preserve the most vital interests of the Republic and the American people.
It's an interesting fact that the members of the NIA have assets of something like $30 billion.
Yes, yeah. Another interesting fact, prehistoric mound builders left more traces of their work.
Shut up.
Yes, sir.
Where does our bank balance stand?
Also an interesting fact. We should be okay until next week. But since you don't seem to be too terribly concerned about...
Shut up.
Yes, sir.
Get your notebook. Instructions for tomorrow.
It was a complicated plan, but it showed just how desperate he was.
There you are. We need this right away.
I'm getting writer's cramp from writing all these checks.
For goodness sakes.
Here,
Thank you.
we'll spend it all in one place. What are you doing here? I'm busy.
Yeah, I know you're busy. You're always busy. I won't take up all your time.
What the hell do you want?
Fergus, what kind of manner is that to speak to this nice young man?
Fergus? Fergus? Hello, my name is Archie Goodwin.
Oh, my. Archie Goodwin, my husband talks about you all the time. You're a rascal.
Husband? Ah.
All right, what do you want, Goodwin?
Oh, yes, I just wanted to get you to sign this document here, Fergus, giving me permission to look at the hotel room there at the Astor where Boone got murdered.
Oh, you know damn well you don't need my permission to inspect it. We're done in there.
Peanuts. Fergus, just help Mr. Goodwin.
You heard what she said. Come on, help the young man. He always this cranky?
Oh.
Yeah?
Now, get out of here. Scram.
Well, it was a real pleasure meeting you there, Mrs. Kramer. Perhaps I could take you to a cup of tea one day.
That would be delightful.
All right, Goodwin, scram.
Yes, Fergus, yes. The hurdles I had to make, you might have thought Hattie Harding was a temple goddess instead of merely the Assistant Director of Public Relations for the NIA.
Well, this is a pleasure, really, really. A great, great pleasure to meet the Archie Goodwin coming directly from the Nero Wolfe. I mean, I suppose you do come direct, I mean.
On a beeline, Miss Harding, as bees to the flower. Bzz.
And, how can I help you, Mr. Goodwin?
Well, Mr. Wolfe thinks that he needs a list of NIA members that were at the banquet last Tuesday, so he sent me to get it.
Ah, yes, why don't we sit down?
Sure, sure. Ah, smells like industry.
NIA. Mr. Goodwin, this really is very, very interesting. I'm just wondering, what does Mr. Wolfe want the list for?
Well, I can only tell you an honest lie. He wants to get their autographs.
Look, Mr. Goodwin, you do understand that this affair is of the highest degree inconvenient for my employers. I mean, our guest for the evening, our main speaker, the director of the BPR, murdered right there just as the dinner was starting. Our public relations were set back 10 years in just 10 seconds.
Now, how do you know it was 10 seconds? That's interesting, huh? That's not proven. He was hit over the head 4 times with a monkey wrench.
What are you doing? Are you just trying to see how objectionable you can possibly be?
No, Miss Harding. I'm trying to demonstrate what a murder investigation can be like. Because if you had made that comment, that little remark you just made, to the police, you would never hear the end of it.
I'm sorry. I haven't slept for 2 nights, and I am a wreck.
Yes.
Now I'm going to have to ask you to leave, all right? You know very well I can't give you that list without Mr. Erskine's approval.
Who's Mr. Erskine?
Mr. Erskine is the president of the NIA, Mr. Goodwin. I'm sure you know that.
Oh, well, yes.
Mr. Goodwin, there is one thing that you can tell me, though. Who exactly has engaged Mr. Wolfe?
Well, I'm in the same fix you're in, Miss Harding. See, I can't do anything important without getting a clearance from higher up as well.
Francie, you get me Mr. Erskine right now. Right now!
So what are you really after?
Who knows? Mr. Wolfe asked me to come take a look, so I'm taking a look.
And who's Wolfe working for?
Well, there's never any question about that. First, last, and always, Nero Wolfe. You know, come to think of it, so am I. Very interesting.
Archie, what can we do for you?
A request from Mr. Wolfe. He would like to know if there's anything about the FBI angle on the Boone case that would make it undesirable for a private detective to have any interest.
It's, what, the Boone case?
Yes, the Cheney Boone murder case.
Well, the FBI angle is that Mr. Boone was murdered while working for the government. Putting that aside, what would Mr. Wolfe's angle be?
Well, it's not so much what his angle would be, it's what He went at me from 40 different directions. I left half an hour later with what I expected. Nothing. The hooks are baited.
You must have been uncommonly transparent. Mr. Kramer has phoned, Mr. Ragg from the FBI, and Mr. Rode from the Astor.
Well.
Time for lunch.
Oh, I'll just be a moment. Nero Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking.
Miss Hattie Harding calling Mr. Nero Wolfe. Put Mr. Wolfe on, please.
Oh, well, nothing doing. See, he's engaged with a pork roast, so I'll have to do.
This is quite irregular. Just one moment.
In the land of the secretary, 1 moment can mean anything from 10 seconds to 10 minutes.
Good morning, Mr. Goodwin. Hattie Harding here. Mr. Erskine would like to see Mr. Wolfe. How soon can he be here?
Nothing doing. Mr. Wolfe seldom leaves the house and never merely on business.
I know that, but this is Mr. Erskine.
To you, he's all that. To Mr. Wolfe, he's nothing but a pest.
Please hold. Mr. Goodwin.
Yep, still here. Older and wiser, but still here.
Mr. Erskine will be at Mr. Wolfe's office at 4:30 today.
Now listen here, public relations. If he comes at 4:30, he'll be waiting an hour and a half. Mr. Wolfe is up in the orchid rooms from 4 to 6. Nothing ever has or ever will change it.
This is ridiculous.
Sure it is. And so is this ring around the rosy method for one man communicating with another. But I stand for it.
Hold the wire.
Operation Payroll is underway. Mr. Frank Erskine, president of the National Industrial Association with Outriders, will be here at 10 minutes past 3.
Satisfactory, Archie.
Well,
This may be a waste of time for you, Mr. Wolfe. Have you been engaged by anyone to investigate the Cheney Boone murder?
Let me put it this way. I have agreed to nothing, and I have accepted no fee.
And what opinions have you formed about it?
Opinions from experts cost money, Mr. Erskine.
We'll pay you for it.
A very reasonable amount.
Well, it wouldn't be worth even that unless I did some work, and I don't like to work. Excuse me, Mr. Erskine, Jr.? In my home, chairs are for sitting. Did you come here with the notion of hiring me?
It has been discussed.
I would advise against it. You might be wasting your money.
Why? Aren't you a very good investigator?
Oh, I'm the best. But the situation is obvious. What you are concerned about is the reputation of your association. In the public mind, the trial has already been held and the verdict rendered. 9 people out of 10 are confident that they already know who killed Mr. Boone. The NIA.
That's an outrageous statement. That's preposterous.
Certainly, but there it is. Now, I admit that it would be worth almost any amount of money to the association to have the murderer exposed, but I would tackle the job with only the greatest reluctance. Archie?
All right.
Go ahead, Frank.
What else can we do?
Take out the check and write it.
We're businessmen, Mr. Wolfe. We understand you can't guarantee anything.
Make it 30, Frank.
When can you get started?
Not right now. It would be better for you to return this evening at, say, 9 o'clock.
Oh, I have an appointment I can't break.
It's out of the question, 9 o'clock.
Aren't you trying to rule out?
Well, as you please, Mr. Winterhoff. Archie, your notebook. The telegram. You're invited to join a discussion of the Boone murder at the office of Nero Wolfe at 9 o'clock this evening. Sign my name and send it at once to Inspector Kramer, Mr. Ragg of the FBI, Mr. Cates, Miss Gunther, Mrs. Boone, and Mr. Dexter. Will you gentlemen be here?
Gentlemen, shall we?
I am compelled to admit that Wolfe had earned my admiration. Not for the obvious variation of the old hard-to-get finesse, but for his common sense. He wanted to get a good look at those people, and he knew that they couldn't afford to stay away.
Hello. I bet you're Archie Goodwin. You came to see Miss Harding. She told me all about you. Aren't you Archie Goodwin?
Yeah?
Well, I thought so, see? I came to see Nero Wolfe. May I come in? I'm Don O'Neill of O'Neill and Warder. I'm also a member of that godforsaken conglomeration of antiques, the NIA. Just this way?
Well, sir,
I admire your office.
thank you. I'm assuming that's not why you came here.
Oh, no. I'm chairman of the dinner committee, so I'm in the middle of this thing whether I like it or not. This idea of spending NIA money to investigate a murder, it's just unrealistic. And I told them so.
Admirable. So you came for the purpose of persuading me to call it off?
Oh, no. I could see that was hopeless. You wouldn't do that, would you?
No, I need the money. Why did you come here?
Well, the police think that anyone connected with the NIA is a suspect, so I came to ask you if Erskine hired you to protect them by shifting the attention elsewhere. Erskine said no.
I also say no, Mr. O'Neill. But what if Mr. Erskine and I are both lying? We're having a few people over to discuss this evening. Why don't you join us and keep an eye on us?
I'm coming. I told Erskine and the others I'm coming.
Good. Then we won't keep you. Archie?
Everyone in this room has an alibi. Phoebe Gunther, who isn't here, was the last person to see Boone alive when she delivered the props for his speech, including the monkey wrench that was used to kill him. Cates over there discovered the body at 7:45. Boone arrived late and went straight to his room carrying a little leather case, which he gave to Miss Gunther.
That's the case Miss Gunther says she forgot and left on the windowsill, but I know...
But Miss Gunther is absolutely wrong because 4 people saw her with that case as she was leaving the reception.
It's amazing.
Please, sir. What was this case? A vanity case? A briefcase? What?
No, it was more like a doctor's case, but it contained cylinders from a dictating machine. Boone had brought the cylinders from Washington for Miss Gunther to transcribe. After she left Boone, she went to the reception room with the case and left it on the windowsill.
And what was on the cylinders? What, letters? What?
Phoebe Gunther says she doesn't know, and Boone didn't tell her.
May I please have a bourbon?
Did anyone see the case in the reception room?
No. The head NIA man from Washington was the last person in there.
By God, that is. It's always an NIA man.
Enough! The constant reference to the NIA is unfortunate, gentlemen, but it cannot be helped. Mr. Boone had many enemies, and you cannot deny that many of them were members of the NIA.
But it isn't always an enemy, Mr. Wolfe. Mr. Dexter here was not an enemy of Mr. Boone. Suppose he was full of ambition to become a director of a BPR, which indeed he is at the moment. He conceivably must have taken steps.
Are you preferring a charge, Mr. Winterhoff?
Not at all, just making a point.
And the others? The talk about Boone and his secretary, Phoebe Gunther, has been going on for months.
I want to protest. This is utterly despicable and beyond the bounds of common decency.
Keep out of this, Kate. Sit down and shut up.
Surely, Mr. Cates, you're aware that personal emotions such as jealousy, revenge can often result in violence. For example, was it true you wanted to marry Boone's niece here and were aware he was opposed to it?
What? You big liar?
Mr. Wolfe, did you invite us here for a typical NIA inquisition?
I'll tell you why you were invited here. Because he wanted to learn as much as he could, as quick as he could, without leaving his chair. I don't know about the rest of you, but I was a sucker to come. Pearlie. Coming, Rag?
Well, it's too bad Kramer bollocksed it up like that. If we had kept at them for another, say, 2 weeks, we might have gotten somewhere.
It was not too bad.
No, it was a screaming success. You're absolutely right. Now, of all the guests, who do you think was the most interesting?
Most interesting was Miss Gunther.
Yeah, why?
Because she didn't come. Go and bring her here.
Do you understand it's 20 minutes past 11 p.m.?
The streets are less dangerous at night, with the reduced traffic.
Huh, right on. Get my scooter. It is not my custom to make personal remarks to young women during the first 5 minutes after meeting them, but when she opened the door, the ceiling light right above her was shining on her hair, and what popped out was... Golden Banner.
Yes, that's what I dye it with.
Yes. Yes, you do. I'm Aren't You Good One?
Yes, you are. Let me take your coat.
Sure. You will give it back.
No, it depends on how you act. Hat.
Yes. Scarf.
You know Mr. Cates.
Hello.
Good evening.
Mr. Cates came here to tell me what happened at your party this evening. Will you have a drink?
No, thank you.
So, did you come here to see what color my hair is, or was there something else?
Listen, I don't mean to bust in on you and Mr. Cates here.
That's all right, isn't it, Al?
It's not okay with me. As I told you, he's in the pay of the NIA.
So you did. But since we know enough not to trust him, all we have to do is be a little smarter than he is and get more out of him than he gets out of us. You know, I have a theory about Mr. Cates.
What's that?
Thank you. He must read old-fashioned novels because of the way he talks. I wouldn't suppose a research man reads novels at all. What would you suppose?
Well, I don't discuss people who don't trust me. And I don't think you are.
Are what?
Smarter than me. Prettier, yes. Oh, you're much prettier, but I doubt if you're smarter. See, I was spelling champion of Zanesville, Ohio, age 12.
Ooh! Spell Snoop.
Well, now, you know, that's just plain childish. You can't be hinting that chasing people who commit crimes is work to be ashamed of since you're smart. So if you... Okay, all right. You got to poke in. Made me blink. Round 1 goes to you. Round 2, if you think a BPR man did it and you don't want him caught, then stay as far away as possible from Nero Wolfe. If you think an NIA man did it and you'd like to help, well, why don't you get your coat and come along to Nero Wolfe's right now? And you, if you did it yourself and you'd like to confess, you know, get it over with.
I told you. You see the way it led to that?
Don't be silly, Al. In fact, let me explain it to you. Finding that I am smarter than he is, he decided to pick on you. And he certainly got evidence that you are a sap. In fact, you better get going.
No.
Leave him to me.
No, he'll go alone.
I heard you.
He's not to be trusted.
So you say.
Cates lost the argument, of course, and within minutes the door closed and Miss Gunther was back smiling at me.
All right. Go ahead. Teach me the multiplication tables.
May I use your phone?
Should I ask who you want to call?
No, just say yes.
Yes. It's right over there.
I see. Thanks.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Wolfe, yes, it's Archie. I'm here with Miss Gunther. I don't think it's a good plan to bring her down there. In the first place, she's extremely smart, but that's not it. She's the one I've been dreaming about the last 10 years. I don't mean she's beautiful. That's merely a matter of taste. I only mean that she's exactly what I've had in mind. Therefore, I think it would be better to let me handle her. You go to bed, and I will check back with you in the morning.
Satisfactory, Archie.
All right, come on.
Come on, where?
Don't be demure. You worked hard trying to figure out a way to get me down in Nero Wolfe's office. And you did a good job. I'll give you round 2. By the way, I'm glad you don't think I'm beautiful. Nothing irritates a woman more than to be thought beautiful.
Oh, no, I didn't say you weren't beautiful. I only said...
I heard what you said. Stabbed me clear through. Because it just happens I do think I'm beautiful.
Just in time, I saw the corner of her mouth moving and bit it off. If you think I was muffing everything she threw my way, I won't argue. The hell of it was, she was beautiful. Here we are. May I take your coat?
Yes. Thank you.
I'll be right back. Just make yourself at home.
Saffron? It must be Iranian.
Oh, it's impossible.
Is she here? If it's not Iranian, I don't want it. Won't use it.
When I got to the Hotel Astor, I found out that Mr. Boone had asked for privacy and been taken to that room. Mr. Erskine took me there with the props.
Do you know Mr. Erskine well?
No, but naturally I hate him. I hate everybody connected with the NIA.
Naturally. Go ahead.
I was there no more than 2 minutes, and as I was leaving, Mr. Boone handed me the leather case. I went to the reception room to get a drink, and then I joined the others in the ballroom. I was eating my fruit cocktail when I remembered that I had left the leather case on the windowsill in the reception room. I went there to retrieve it, and it was gone.
Did you look inside the case?
No.
4 people say that you took the case with you from the reception room to the ballroom.
Well, do you believe them, or do you believe me?
What did Mr. Boone rely on you for?
To do what he told me to.
Of course, but what did he get from you? Obedience, loyalty, companionship, ecstasy?
Oh, for the Lord's sake. What he got was first-class work. I'm not saying that during the 2 years that I worked with Mr. Boone, I was always fresh out of ecstasy, but I never took it to the office with me. Anyway, I was saving it all up until I met Mr. Goodwin.
Since the NIA is being blamed for the murder of Mr. Boone, you must understand that it is desirable from the standpoint of the NIA that the murderer be caught.
Yes, that's exactly why I agreed to see you.
Then doesn't it follow that you and the BPR would prefer not to have the murderer caught?
Yes, very logical, but I don't feel that way.
Then why didn't you come here and discuss it earlier this evening?
Didn't feel like it.
But you came with Mr. Goodwin.
Certainly. Any girl who needed a rest would go anywhere with Mr. Goodwin. Because she wouldn't have to use her mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mr. Wolfe, I didn't intend to stay all night. And what about my turn?
Very well, I agreed to answer your questions, Miss Gunther.
Who approached you from the NIA, and what have you agreed to do?
Mr. Erskine, Winterhoff, Erskine Jr., Breslow, and Mr. O'Neill. They hired me to catch the murderer.
No matter who the murderer is?
Yes.
Have they tried to persuade you that the murderer is not an NIA man?
No.
Do you think one of those 5 murdered him?
No.
This is silly. You say nothing but yes and no.
I'm answering your questions, madam, and so far I haven't told you a lie. Go ahead.
Do you think that the use of the monkey wrench, which no one could have known was there, proves that the murder was unpremeditated?
No.
But it might have been unpremeditated.
Yes.
Has any NIA man said anything to you that indicated who took the leather case?
No.
Or where it is now?
No.
Do you have any idea who the murderer is?
No.
How do I know that a single thing that you tell me is the truth?
I'm under the same handicap as you.
But I have nothing to lie about.
Phooey. Everybody has something to lie about. Go ahead.
No. Will you show me which way for a taxi?
No, I'll run you up. I gotta return the car anyway.
Say, don't be aloof. Once in a while, I like the feel of a man's arm, that's all.
Okay, I'm a man.
So I suspected.
You know, when this is all over, I'd like to teach you how to shoot pool or look up words in the dictionary.
Thanks. When this is all over.
Yes.
Do not communicate further with Miss Gunther except on my order. A woman who is not a fool is dangerous. In the morning, get Saul and Fred here. Good night.
Yeah. Good night.
Saul, you'll take the Hotel Astor and cover everything and everybody. Fred, you will proceed to the NIA offices and start compiling lists as instructed. You will report directly to me. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Well, is it really as bad as that?
As bad as what?
You know darn well what I'm talking about. Giving Saul and Fred $50 to chase the dregs. Where's the genius in that?
Genius? What can genius do? 1,000 people with motive and opportunity? Why the devil did I ever let you persuade me to get into this mess?
No, sir. No, you will not do that. You don't blame this on me. If you want to admit that you're licked, you can write a check for $30,000 and then dictate a letter to them saying that due to the fact that you caught the mumps, you...
Shut up!
Yeah, see, you don't have anything. You don't have nothing.
Of course I do.
You do? What?
Something Mr. O'Neill said yesterday. Something very peculiar.
I didn't believe a word of it. I remembered everything Don O'Neill said and believed it less than ever.
Telegram, sir.
Thank you, Fred. Circumstances make it impossible to continue surveillance of O'Neill, but believe it is essential this be done. Can guarantee nothing. Arthur Bresler. So perhaps you will be good enough to tell me what other arrangements you have made for handling this case.
No, sir, not me.
You know nothing of this?
No.
Well, then get Breslow on the phone.
What, telegram? I haven't sent you any telegram.
You know nothing about a telegram to me?
No, nothing whatever, Mr. Wolfe.
Then it's a mistake. I suspected as much. My apologies, sir, for disturbing you.
May I inquire?
Well, do we trace it, or do we assume whoever sent it knew about the phone booths?
Confound it. We can't afford to ignore it. You'd better get him as soon as possible.
A little after 8 in the morning, I sat in a taxi 50 paces north of O'Neill's apartment house. At 10 o'clock, I saw O'Neill emerging to the sidewalk. All right, that's him. Let's go. With the thin traffic on Sunday, it took some skill to avoid discovery. But it wasn't long before O'Neill's cab stopped at the entrance to the Hotel Astor. O'Neill hopped out and started in. Hey, you see that, Ernie? I told you he'd be hopping it. Here, take this. No sign of suspecting that anyone had an eye on him, and where he finally wound up was the main parcel room on the lower level. He handed in a ticket and was given an object, and even from where I stood, it looked as if it might be of interest. Mr. O'Neill. Going uptown? Give me a lift?
Well, they're a good one. Well, where'd you come from? No, I'm not actually going uptown.
Make up your mind. Yeah, well, no problem. I just thought I'd ask you a few questions. Like, what do you have in that case there? Please head to West 35th Street.
It's not your cab. What is this, a hard touch?
Don't worry about it. He's a friend. Go ahead. Just turn north on 5th.
Hold on there. You know, I just thought we would save time by going straight to Nero Wolfe's office.
The address is 350 Park Avenue.
Hey, look, I don't like the idea of your apartment, see? If we get there, you know, I would have to pull out my license, show it to the doorman, ask him to make a call to the 19th precinct. It would cause quite a hubbub there. Don't even try it. I'm younger than you, faster, and you won't get very far.
Can we get going here? Let's go.
West 35th.
Mr. O'Neill, that tramping back and forth is extremely irritating.
I'm not answering any questions until I hear what's on those cylinders.
Nonsense. I didn't take you for a nincompoop.
Oh, go to hell.
Well, if that's the best you can do, you are a nincompoop. When that machine gets here, Mr. Goodwin will carry you out and set you on the stoop. And then he and I will listen to the cylinders.
You wouldn't do that.
I won't. Mr. Goodwin will.
Damn you! What do you want?
I want to know where you got those things.
All right. All right. Last evening, I had a phone call at home. It was a woman. She said her name was Dorothy Unger and she worked for the BPR. She said she had sent me a flyer but had accidentally enclosed a baggage claim tag and would I return it as soon as possible. This morning, I received the envelope and the tag and, well, you know what I did next because you arranged it.
It's preposterous. Give the envelope to Mr. Goodwin.
No. I'm going to get some real detective work done on this envelope and not by you.
Then you won't hear what the cylinders have to say.
I must! I believe that those cylinders contain confidential dictation by Cheney Boone that may have something to do with his murder.
Well, I'll tell you this, the post office is getting more and more careless every day. Only one of the 5 stamps is canceled.
Yes, Fritz.
The machine is here, sir.
Take it easy. Right over here. Okay, now why don't you explain how this thing works?
It's really very simple. The microphone plugs in here.
Uh-huh.
It rests on this cradle. That's your record switch. The cylinder goes on the drum, and that's it.
Thank you very much. I think I've got it.
Now, Archie, if you'll get Mr. O'Neill's hat and coat.
Oh, so you think you can double-cross Don O'Neill?
Troy, I have given you no assurance you would be allowed to hear anything. Well, sir, do you prefer to be self-propelled?
I'm not leaving this room.
Archie?
Come along with Archie.
Oh, no. Oh.
That's too slow to hit anything that isn't nailed down.
Whoa. Oh, hey. I'm not leaving. I'm not.
I dislike commotion. I didn't tell you to hit him.
He tried to kick me. He did kick me. Next time, you do it.
All right, start that machine.
679.
It took more than an hour to run off all 6 cylinders.
Press release for March 25th.
There was nothing spectacular anywhere in the lot, and by the time we finished, I couldn't blame Wolfe for being depressed. The only item worth mentioning was that at least 4 of the cylinders had been dictated prior to the day of the murder. Had Boone picked up the wrong case when he left Washington?
Sincerely.
Oh, boy.
Take the cylinders down to Mr. Kramer and tell him where we got them.
He will throw a fit.
No doubt. And bring me Miss Gunther.
Are you sure it's a good idea to trust me with her?
No, but I want to see her.
I'll be damned. This could be something.
Obviously, Kramer was desperate. If he had any start on the Boone murder, he would have cussed Wolfe and me up one side and down the other for withholding evidence.
I'll be damned.
When I left Kramer for the far more dangerous task of Phoebe, he still didn't know that the cylinders weren't going to help.
Mr. Goodwin.
Has Inspector Kramer's office called you?
No, why does he want to see me?
Well, he either wants you now or he soon will. See, I brought him those cylinders you left on the windowsill Tuesday evening.
Where'd you find those?
It's a long story.
Do you know what's on them?
Certainly. Very interesting. Not very helpful since they were dictated before Tuesday.
That's impossible.
Are you expecting someone?
Mm.
Come on, Goodwin, what the hell? Come on.
Good afternoon, Miss Gunther. Sergeant Stebbins, New York Homicide. My boss, Inspector Kramer, be much obliged. Let me drive you downtown to his office. He's got these stenophone cylinders down there he wants you to look at.
Why, you just get right to the point, don't you, Pearlie?
You still here? I thought you was gone.
Nuts to you. Of course, you know, Miss Gunther, you may do as you please. Now, some people think that when a city employee shows up to ask them to go someplace, that they have to go. Well, that's a fallacy. They need a document, which he does not have. I am just...
You know, Mr. Goodwin, you have a way of suggesting things that appeal to me. So you decide. I'll go with you to see Mr. Wolfe, or I'll go with this oversized sergeant. Whichever you say.
Whereupon I made a mistake. Yes. Do you mind? I really appreciate the confidence which I deserve. However, and I hate to say this, I do think you should accept Inspector Kramer's invitation. I will explain later. See you.
Got a coat?
Stebbins arrived at Miss Gunther's before I could get her away, and she likes him better than she does me. So not only had I made a mistake, but also I was lying to the boss.
Why he must serve Fred and Saul breakfast in his room, I do not know. Miss Gunther is not answering. You should hang up.
After 7 tries throughout the day, I was still unable to find Phoebe. After dinner, I failed again to reach Phoebe, so I stretched out on the couch, trying to work out an attack that would make Wolfe explode into some kind of action when the doorbell rang. Inspector Kramer and Solomon Dexter.
I don't understand it, Wolfe. I don't understand it at all. I checked on you. I checked on you with the FBI and the Army, and they gave you a clean bill. Yet here you are tied in with the NIA, the dirtiest bunch of thieves and cutthroats in existence.
Stop shouting at me. Why are you shouting at me? What does he want? Does he want something?
Yeah, he thinks you fixed it with that cylinder stunt to make it look like the BPR had the cylinders all the time and wanted to plant them on the NIA.
Foy, do you think so?
I do not. You would have done a better job of it.
Yes. Is there anything else, Mr. Dexter?
Yes, there was never a Dorothy Younger in the employ of the BPR.
Good heavens, of course there wasn't.
What do you mean, of course there isn't?
I mean, it's obvious there wouldn't be. I mean, whoever contrived that hocus-pocus about the claim check, I mean, certainly Dorothy Younger had to be invented.
Of course, you would know.
Mr. Dexter, that is nonsense. You accuse me of being tied up with miscreants? I'm tied up with no one. I'm engaged to find a murderer.
Yeah, and how far have you got?
Well, further than you, or you wouldn't be here, would you?
Oh, yeah. I didn't understand why we were here the other evening, why you just didn't pick them out so I could take them in.
Neither did I. For one moment, I thought I might. When one of them said something extraordinary, but then...
Yeah? Who said what?
I'm having it looked into. But then you broke it up and you chased them all out.
Oh, yeah, I bitched it for you. And I really want to square it with you. I'll do anything you say. Anything. I'll get them all in here right now.
It's an excellent idea. Excellent. Do it. Use Mr. Goodwin's phone.
By God, you thought I meant that?
Of course, I do mean it. Yes, you wouldn't be here if you weren't desperate.
Who the hell does this guy think he is?
Oh, God. Stebbins. Yeah, hold on.
Pearlie?
Yeah, Chief, the commissioner's got a cease and desist
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, well, file that under C for crap.
You want it or not?
No. You got a list of the guests that were here at Wolfe's Friday evening?
I'm sitting here looking at
Well, get them to come here immediately, and include Phoebe Gunther.
This is gonna cost you.
Yeah, I know all right, but if I lose my job, what's the difference how I lose it?
Yeah, well, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like it went pretty well.
Well, not too good. We're worse off than we were before. There are no fingerprints anywhere. If Boone picked up the wrong case when he left for Washington, then the right cylinder should have been in his office, but they weren't. There is one other possibility. Phoebe Gunther flew down there the day after the murder and returned that afternoon. She had a suitcase with her.
She has no difficulty explaining her movements?
Phoebe Gunther has no difficulty explaining anything. Don't mind if I do. Our commissioner's got St. Vitus's dance, the mayor's having nightmares, and it's all my fault. And by God, I sit here beefing to you.
It's the same as before. Miss Gunther apparently does not like crowds, especially a crowd like this, right, Pearlie?
I got Miss Gunther at her apartment over an hour ago. She said she'd be here.
Well, we won't wait. Go ahead.
Well, first, you got the request to come here from my office, but in no way is this official. I am not responsible for getting you here. So if you want to get up and leave, that's totally up to you, and you're free to go. I know you probably think this is improper, that Nero Wolfe has been engaged by the NIA.
What? Something biting you?
It's...
What?
Come on, I'll show you.
I want to write some checks for Mr. Nero Wolfe so he can pay his bills, because he's going to be doing a lot of running around here.
Look, I always checked the service gate, and this is what I found.
The light was dim, but I could see well enough to tell what the object was, though not for certain who it was. Get a flashlight, Fritz. Stay right here, huh?
Nero Wolfe has been engaged by the NIA. And on top of all that, he's going to be doing a lot of running around here if we don't find out where Phoebe Gunther is.
Now, the question which confronts us is whether it is credible. Mr. Kramer, if you will go to the hall. Mr. Goodwin has a message for you, and take Mr. Stebbins with you. As I was saying, the question is whether it is credible.
The working assumption was that Phoebe had come and mounted the stoop and that the killer struck before she had pushed the bell button, knocking her off the stoop into the areaway. He then climbed down and finished the job.
Yeah, she's cool, Chief. What's that, Fritz? Put your light there. Right there.
A piece of 1.5-inch iron pipe had been found lying next to Phoebe's body. She had been hit on the head with it 4 times.
This is outrageous. We have all answered your questions for hours. We have let ourselves be searched, and we have told you everything you want to know. We will not stay here no further.
Shut up! Come over here and stand by this guy, and if he doesn't shut his trap, shut it for him. And that goes for everybody. Now, for 6 days, I've been handling you people as tender as babies. Because I had to. But now it's different. One of you killed that woman, and it's a safe bet the same person killed Boone. So here's what I came to say. The piece of pipe that was used to kill Miss Gunther was old and flaking. So it would have left microscopic flakes on hands and clothing. So we're gonna check your hands and clothes with a microscope, whether you like it or not. Take him out and get him started, Pearlie.
You heard the man.
Get up! Get
out!
This is outrageous. Right across the hall to the dining room. Take him over there. Get out of here. Come on, it ain't no parade. Here with it. Come on, ladies, let's go. Yeah. Talk in there.
Nero Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking.
Mr. Ragg there?
Yes, he is. Mr. Ragg, telephone call for you.
Yes, it's just like we thought, sir.
Our men have just finished the search of Miss Gunther's apartment in Washington. Miss Gunther was lying to us. In a hat box and a closet, they found 5 stenophone cylinders.
Confounded 5.
5, yeah. What's wrong with 5?
Apparently for you, nothing. For me, 5 is no better than none.
Well, that's a damn shame. I apologize. There should have been 6.
Well, what do you got?
This scarf was found in the right-hand pocket of that coat, and on its surface are between 15 and 20 particles, which came from that pipe.
Yeah? Whose coat is it?
Alger Cates, sir.
Get him in here. Be fine citizens, huh?
Were you a close friend of Miss Gunther's?
Not a close personal friend, no. I saw her frequently in connection with our work.
Do you admire her?
Yes, as a colleague.
Did she dress well?
Considering Miss Gunther's striking appearance and her physicality, she dressed extremely well.
Then you did notice what she wore. In that case, when was the last time you saw her wearing that scarf?
I never saw it before on Miss Gunther or anyone else.
That's a disappointment. Because clinging to that scarf are many tiny particles which were found on a piece of pipe that was used to murder Miss Gunther. Also because that scarf was found in the pocket of your overcoat.
Whose overcoat?
Archie. Is this your overcoat?
Mr. Dexter! Mr. Dexter, come in here!
Cut that yelling out. Cut it out! What do you want Dexter for?
I told him something like this would happen. I told Phoebe not to come here tonight.
When did you tell her not to come here tonight? When?
Let go of me. Let go.
So began the great scarf hunt. One after another, Stebbins marched our guests in and asked them if they had ever seen the scarf before. First O'Neill.
No.
Then Erskine.
Yeah. Won't hurt a bit. Come on.
Then Mrs. Boone.
No.
Your turn, sweetheart. Let's go.
Then Nina.
No, not at all.
Are you sure of that?
Yes, sir.
I'll show you back to the room.
Then Erskine Jr.
That? No. Am I done?
Yes.
Thank you.
And the performance was repeated 4 more times before Mr. Winterhoff was let in.
Mr. Winterhoff, please take a look.
Where'd you get that? That's my scarf.
Did you wear it here tonight, or did you have it in your pocket?
Neither. That's the one that was stolen from me last week.
When and where last week?
It was right here. It was on, it was Friday.
At Wolfe's house?
That's right.
When you found it gone, who did you complain to?
Well, I told my wife. What are you talking about? Where did you get that?
There is evidence, good evidence, that your scarf was wrapped around the pipe that killed Phoebe Gunther. Do you have any comment?
I'll say I do. That's absolute nonsense. It's preposterous. Absolutely absurd. You people are trying to frame me. That's what's going on here. Give me my scarf. I want to go home. That's my scarf, and I want it back. It has not got anything to do with
Winterhoff
this
had things to say, but he was shooed out because none of them seemed important.
absurd. This is outrageous.
When the door was closed, Kramer sat down and pulled in a deep breath, then let it out.
Oh, cheese and rice.
Winterhoff is a damn liar. For God's sake, we're not after a liar. We're after a murderer.
Well, it's 4 o'clock in the morning, and you're stuck. I'm going to bed.
Oh, we are. We're stuck. I suppose, the way you put that, you're not stuck?
No, I'm not stuck. Archie, see our guests out. I'm going to bed.
Gentlemen, let's call it a night here. The next morning, Fritz brought down Wolfe's breakfast tray, and there was a note instructing me to get Saul, Fred, and Del Bascom to report to the office at 11 o'clock.
I need to deploy 20 men. But not at Fred's rates, not at Saul's rates.
He had chased me out and sent me to the kitchen to help Fritz pluck chickens.
Grain of thing, like so. You pull, and it takes out the feather.
When I came in for lunch, Wolfe told me,
Archie. I want any envelopes from Bascom's office to reach me unopened.
Ha! Reports? Big operations?
Yes, 20 men. One of them may be worth a salt.
Do you want me to move into a hotel so I won't hear anything unfit from my ears?
Archie, you've been with me for a long time now.
Yes, yes. How would you like to do this? You want me to resign or would you like to fire me?
I want you to see how willing you can make Miss Boone.
Make Miss Boone. You think it can be done, you do it.
I'm speaking of an investigating operation. I need to know how intimate she was with Miss Gunther. Perhaps telephone after lunch.
I see. Well, how about lunch at the Tulip Room, say tomorrow at 1?
Okay. I may be a little late. I'm usually a little late.
Well, I should hope so. You look like a perfectly normal woman to me. See you tomorrow.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Tonight would have been better.
My dear sir, you try getting her to meet you anywhere, even at Tiffany's to try things on. I was being entrusted with nothing but the little chores. For example, I was asked for a second time to have the stenophone company deliver a machine and leave it, though it was clear over my head since we had nothing to play on it. Erskine and Company showed up to try and get from Wolfe some kind of progress report.
For God's sake, when? 24 hours?
Give him hell, Frank.
48? Each day's delay means untold damage to the NIA. Therefore, the most vital interests of the Republic and the American people.
You're breaking my heart, Pop.
Shut up!
We've decided to offer a reward of $100,000 to anyone furnishing information leading to the arrest and trial of the murderer.
You wouldn't expect conviction?
No, of course not. Arrest and trial will be enough.
Yes, indeed. Waiter, come right.
So, what would you like to ask me?
Oh, no, not yet. No, my rule with a girl is to spend the first 15 minutes discussing her looks. And if I do that properly, I will have you in a frame of mind where I will be copying down your social security number.
I like this. Go on, drag things out of me.
Are you sure, yeah? All right, but my technique, it's a little unusual. For instance, there's probably 100 men investigating your people, trying to find out, for example, if you and Erskine Jr. are champing at the bit, right? Waiting to find out if his wife will give him a divorce. Me, I'd like to settle it with you. You know, find out direct, right? Are you?
Am I what? Champing?
At the bit.
No, I'm champing shrimps.
No. Did you know any of those NIA people personally?
Maybe a few. But if we went over every conversation, we wouldn't find anything even remotely resembling an angle.
Yeah. And what about your aunt? Did she have a lot of friends, if you know what I mean?
Ask her. Maybe that's what she wants to see you about.
No. Do you accept Breslau's suggestion that your aunt killed her husband on account of a jealousy for Phoebe Gunther and later finished the job at Wolfe's house?
No. Does anybody?
Well, what about this? Do you think that Phoebe Gunther would be tried enough to have a baby?
Oh, good Lord. You pick up all the crumbs, don't you?
Did you like Phoebe Gunther?
I envied her. I would have liked to have her job. But I wasn't foolish enough to think that I could fill it. Besides, she had BPR fever.
BPR fever, huh? Was it bad?
One of the most severe cases on record. She was actually more dangerous to the NIA than my uncle.
Really? What about Dexter or Cates?
Cates? Good heavens. Just look at him. He's just an adding machine.
And a pig's eye, you know, he's sinister.
Olga Cates, sinister? Really? He's just an old married frump.
Telephone for you, Mr. Goodwin.
Careful. Yeah. Excuse me a moment. Goodwin speaking.
Archie, get down here at once.
What for?
Without delay.
We were just about to leave to go see Mrs. Boone. Now I've got...
I said get down here! Confound it. Oh, my God. Oh, well, it's probably dawdling along the way. This is a mess. What the devil took you so long? It's insufferable. Who is Inspector Ash?
Ash, you remember Ash. He was a captain under Kramer. Now he's in a homicide in Queens.
Is the car in good condition?
Certainly. Why?
I need a ride to police headquarters.
Oh, my God.
Inspector Kramer, they've removed him from the Boone-Gunther case, and Inspector Ash has taken his place. And he has served me with a warrant for my arrest.
But Kramer got booted?
Well, so says Mr. What's-his-name.
Who, Humbert?
Confound it, must I repeat this over and over again? Inspector Ash has replaced Mr. Kramer. And now we must see this moron, Ash. You say he's an idiot. Ash and...
You're not a lawyer. Nothing that's been said to you by anyone has the status of a privileged conversation.
That remark is childish. Would I admit I know something that I don't want you to know and then refuse to tell you on the grounds that it's privileged? Phooey.
Problem with you, Wolfe, is that you were spoiled by my predecessor. He didn't know how to handle you. With me in charge, you're going to see a big difference.
Mr. Ash, you are both a numbskull and a hooligan.
So you're going to try it on me? I don't see how
That will do for that.
Yes, sir. I only wanted
I don't give a damn what you wanted. It was your idea Wolfe was holding out. Now get on with it.
Yes, sir. I only know that in every case where Wolfe's within smelling distance of money, he always manages to get something that nobody else can get. And then he hangs on to it till it suits him to let it go.
You might add that when he does let go, the result is usually disastrous for some lawbreaker.
Is that a reason to call a tune for the police department?
This babbling is frivolous. Was I hauled down here to listen to a discussion of my character?
You were hauled down here to tell us everything you know about these murders. And I wouldn't be surprised if you know something that gives you a good, clear idea of who it was who killed Boone and the Gunther woman.
Certainly I do. And so do you.
Now, he does not mean we have the murderer down in the car.
You mean it or you don't.
What do you think you're doing?
If you're bluffing, you're going to eat it. If not, for once in your life, you're going to be opened up. Let me take him, sir. Here in the office, it might be embarrassing.
Hopeless imbecile. This is farcical.
Why don't you take me home?
Oh, no, you don't.
No! Archie, telephone Mr. Parker and arrange for bail. Immediately.
He stays right here. Now listen, this is ridiculous. Now, we all want the same thing.
Am I under arrest?
Technically, no, but well, yes.
Then I am. You can go to the devil. If you want a word out of me, you can vacate those warrants and get rid of this fiend. He jars me.
I'll take him.
Inspector,
he struck an officer.
I think you had better leave this to the district attorney and me.
It's your decision, sir. But he's going to get away with this whole...
At the moment, I don't care what he gets away with. I only care about one thing, getting this case solved.
Yes, sir. Someday, I'm going to help you lose some weight.
All right. You got away with it. Now, what do you know?
First, why was Mr. Kramer demoted and disgraced?
He wasn't.
Nonsense. Whatever you call it, why?
Officially for a change of scene. Off the record, he was muffing it. He had got his mind fixed on one aspect of the case, and that's all he could think of or talk about. That missing sixth cylinder.
Mr. Kramer was concentrating on that?
Yes. He had 50 men looking for it and wanted to sign another 50.
And that was the reason for you removing him?
Yes.
Ha! Then you are an imbecile, too. Didn't know Mr. Kramer had it in him to see that. Finding that cylinder, sir, if not our only chance, is beyond all comparison our best one.
That's you, all right, Wolfe. I suspected it was only fireworks. You said you'd already got him.
I said nothing of the sort. I said that I know something that gives me a good, clear idea of the murderer's identity, and also that you people know it, too.
You impervious bastard.
Supposing you tell us what gives you a good, clear idea of who the murderer is, including who?
No, sir.
Why not?
Because of your idiotic treatment of Mr. Kramer. If you were to pass my ideas on to Mr. Ash, he might, by pure chance, do something that would result in solving the case. And I would stop short of nothing to prevent that. Help Mr. Ash to a triumph. God forbid.
How about this? Do you think Miss Gunther knew who killed Boone?
Certainly she did.
Naturally, you'd like that since it would eliminate your clients.
You're missing the whole point. What has been the outstanding fact about this case, sir? This, that the public, the people, have unanimously convicted not an individual, but an organization, the National Industrial Association, for the murder of Cheney Boone. Now, what if you were Miss Gunther and you knew who killed Boone? Would she have exposed him? Of course not. She was a zealot. And she was intelligent enough to calculate that if someone was arrested for the murder of Cheney Boone, the resentment against the NIA would end. If she had evidence, the sixth cylinder, for example, that pointed to someone, anyone, she would suppress it. But she would not destroy it, because she wouldn't want the murderer to go free. She would hide it, where it wouldn't be found, but where she could retrieve it once the NIA had sustained sufficient damage. She was a remarkable young woman, but she made the mistake of permitting the murderer to learn that she knew who he was, and she paid for that.
What makes you so damn sure about this cylinder? Have you got it in your pocket?
No, if I had.
What if you're selling a bill of goods? I wouldn't call you a bald-faced liar, but...
I don't say I'm not, Mr. Humbert. We all take chances when we exchange words with other human beings. So, I might as well go home. Archie? Are the chickens in the oven yet?
No, sir. It is too early. You have a visitor at the office. Female.
I have 10 minutes, madam.
Naturally, you're wondering why I'm here.
Naturally.
I phoned my cousin this morning, and he told me about you.
Do I know your cousin?
General Carpenter. He told me not to believe anything you said, but to do whatever you told me to do.
You have 8 minutes left, madam. I suggest if you have anything relevant to say that you begin.
He also warned me that you'd be incredibly rude. I might as well come right out and say that I think I'm responsible for the death of Phoebe Gunther.
That's an uncomfortable thought. Where did you get it?
That's what I want to tell you, but it seems silly because you're working for them, the NIA.
Archie, your notebook. Take a letter to the National Industrial Association. Gentlemen, the course events have taken obliges me to inform you that it will be impossible for me to continue to act on your behalf with regards to the murders of Mr. Boone and Miss Gunther. I enclose herewith my check for $30,000, returning the retainer you have paid me, and thereby ending my association with you in this matter.
Do I draw the check?
Certainly you cannot close it without drawing the check. I am now a neutral, madam. What is it you wanted to tell me?
Miss Gunther knew who killed my husband. My husband had dictated something on one of those cylinders that told about it, and she had the cylinder. She intended to give it to the police, but she was waiting until the rumors had done as much damage as possible to the NIA.
Why did she tell you?
Because I knew that she wasn't telling the truth about that leather case. I knew she had it with her at the table in the dining room. She told me so I would promise not to tell the police about it.
Did she tell you who the murderer was?
That's why I think I am responsible for her death. If I had broken my promise and told the police about it, she wouldn't have been killed. As you can see, I've broken the law too.
Well, that part of it is all right, or it will be, as soon as you tell me and I tell the police where Miss Gunther put that cylinder.
But I can't. I don't know. She didn't tell me.
That's nonsense. Of course she told you.
She did not. That's the reason I'm here. She told me that I didn't need to worry about the man who killed my husband being punished, but if the only evidence is that missing cylinder, So you can see why I need your advice.
I regret, madam, that there's nothing I can do for you. You should go home and tell the police what you have told me. I agree with you that if you had broken your promise, Miss Gunther would not have been killed. But it was she who asked for the promise, so the responsibility was hers. Good afternoon, madam. You purchased the saffron?
Yes, but it is Spanish.
Where is it? I shall trash it.
I'm not telling you.
Archie, that letter and that check, you better get that done.
What, to the NIA?
Yes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes and no longer.
Whoa. You don't mean you're actually going to send that check?
Yes, I told that woman I would, didn't I?
You cannot chill them properly in less than 12.
Well, let me tell you something. That's not just being eccentric. That's plain loony.
12.
What happened to Operation Payroll? Huh? Don't tell me you suddenly got a scruple. No, you know what? I regret to inform you we have lost the checkbook.
Draw that check and type that letter.
Fritz, statistics show that 42 2/3% of all geniuses eventually go crazy. Sooner or later, they lose it.
Archie, sit down. Dr. Volmer is going to be paying us a visit later, and you need instructions.
Well, that's a very good thing, although Dr. Volmer is not a psychiatrist. At least his mind was still functioning enough to send for a doctor.
Fritz said to come.
No,
right?
thank you. What's the ceiling on it? I don't want any.
I should have explained, Doc.
Do you want to pay $2 a pound for butter? 50 cents for shoestrings? $1 for a bottle of beer? Well, confound it, answer me!
I don't know if it's the willies or what, but as you can see...
Just because I ask you to lend me $5 until the beginning of the next war does not mean that I'm a frugal person.
Who wrote this script for him?
It's been like this ever since I brought him home.
He's been out of the house?
Archie tells me that you're masquerading as a doctor. Bah! They'll take your clothes off, too. Oh, yes, they'll examine every inch of your skin, and they'll find the mark, the one that entitles you to a discount.
Well, the first thing we'll need is a lot of nurses.
Nurses? Very good idea.
Nurses? Phooey, nurses!
Many nurses.
Now you're talking.
Phooey, aren't you a physician? Don't you know a nervous breakdown when you see one?
Yes, I do.
Well, then what's the matter with it?
It doesn't seem, typical.
That's a faulty observation. That's a defect in your training. Specifically, it's a persecution complex, you idiot.
And who's been doing the persecuting?
Oh, I feel it coming on again. Archie, tell him!
Look, Doc, it's serious. See, the police are convinced that Mr. Wolfe knows who killed Cheney Boone and that he won't let on.
Oh, now that's shocking.
Yeah, well, it gets worse. See, here's the thing, because the NIA, they're going to be at the door, the police are going to be at the door, the press is going to be at the door. They're all going to be there tomorrow, all of them. If I could just have a certificate that shows that no one can see him and that it's best if he just remains alone, not hospitalized, but just here. Paper.
So, how long does this certificate have to last?
For a very long time.
Well then, before you get the certificate, I have to administer some tests.
Are the symptoms sufficient?
Just some tests to rule out any sort of neurological problems here. Make sure there's a dementia. Okay? It's going to be very easy, all right?
Mm-hmm. Make it brief.
There we go. Say, ah.
Oh.
Ah.
Oh.
Raise it up.
Oh.
All right? This is called an ink blot test. There. Now, what do you see?
An Eastern European village where the inhabitants have coins as heads.
East? Could you be more specific?
Now it's changed. It's a piece of veal now.
Veal?
Yes. A piece of veal.
How well cooked is it?
Medium.
Medium?
Yes.
No, that's well done, wouldn't you say?
I don't know. It's subjective, isn't it?
Very good. All right, let me see what's going on up here. Bumps.
Bumps?
I'm looking for bumps.
What kind of bumps?
Phrenologic bumps.
You finished?
Not quite. Just hold that. We're gonna check your scroocher.
What do you mean?
We're gonna scooch you.
No, don't.
Yes, we're gonna have to. Now.
You're not going to cut me! They're coming in hordes! I see them on chariots with spiked wheels, waving insolent banners of inflation! Oh!
Doc?
Archie! They're pelting me with worthless coins!
Well, I think this will be
Archie!
Just make sure the certificate is as strong as possible.
Totally worthless!
certificate. Yes.
Bullets!
It didn't get lonely during the 2.5 days. Thursday, Friday, and part of Saturday, the certificate worked.
Get lost!
Newspapermen, cops, the FBI, the NIA. They all appreciated that I was holding the fort under trying circumstances. Throughout the siege, Wolfe stayed put in his room. This led to several disputes.
I say it's a handicap. I still don't know one thing about what you're up to.
That's nonsense. Of course you do. You know all about it. I have 20 men looking for that cylinder. It must be found, and it will be. I just prefer to stay here in my room and wait.
Nuts. What if it's never found?
It will be found. It has not been destroyed. It exists, therefore it will be found.
My chief reason for admitting that Wolfe really meant what he said about the cylinder was that we were paying $1 a day rent for the machine.
Yes, sir.
I wish to have a telephone conversation with Inspector Kramer. Please arrange it.
No, sir. No matter how bitter Kramer might be, he's still a cop. And your voice sounding natural and making sense will tend to cast doubt on Doc Vollmer's certificate. Don't you realize that?
Then at least find out where he can be reached.
Finding Kramer was easy. When I dialed his home, Kramer answered himself. He kept the conversation brief and to the point. Naturally, the siege continued. The NIA came, all 6 of them.
All right, Goodwin. Where is he?
Throughout the years, I've seen a lot of sore, frantic people in that office, but this aggregation of specimens was second to none.
And I did not see fit to inform them that you have kept the cylinder hounds on the job at your own expense.
It doesn't matter. They'll learn it when the time comes.
And the scientific name for the disease you got is acute malignant optimism.
Yeah, I am sorry Wolfe collapsed under the strain, and I'll tell Inspector Ash to conduct himself diplomatically when he gets down there.
No, sorry. It's doctor's orders. No one is to see Mr. Wolfe. No one at all, all right?
Look, Goodwin.
Not even insurance
By
sales.
dropping the NIA as his client, it puts it beyond argument that Wolfe knows the identity of the murderer. I want it, and I want it now.
Oh, you want it now. You think he knows the name of that? Oh, you really think that, right? Well, I mean, there's a lot of people who think that and want that information, but under no... Doc Vollmer got more of it than I did. The police were pestering him hourly about the state of Wolfe's health, but he enjoyed it.
I want to talk to him. You're bluffing.
At first, we visited Wolfe's bedroom, but when Wolfe started to enjoy himself...
Look, big black worms with dollar signs crawling down the wall.
We got out of there. I never did understand why they didn't try quicker to break it up. By Saturday noon, all hell broke loose.
Nero, Wolfe's office, Archie Goodwin speaking.
I was alone in the office when the phone rang, and I was even more alone when it was over and I hung up. Okay, Pagliaccio, you are booked for the big time. An eminent neurologist named Green, hired by the city of New York and equipped with a court order, will arrive here to give you an audition at 5:45. Now what?
Why the devil did you agree on an hour?
Because I had to. They wanted to make it right now.
But yelling at me. Go downstairs. I have to think.
Do you mean to tell me you actually have not figured out what to do?
Archie, get out of here. How am I supposed to put my mind on it with you standing there bellowing?
For starters, get your nose out of that book. For the next 2 minutes from 12:30 to 12:32, my state of mind was really not fit to be recorded for family viewing. The hell of it was, as I saw it, we were being bombed out of a position that no one but a maniac would ever have occupied in the first place.
No admittance. This is a house of mourning. Now beat it.
Get Fritz and come to the office at once.
Fritz!
I am a brainless booby.
Yes, sir.
So are you, Archie. You know how important that missing cylinder is, and yet, by heaven, it hadn't occurred to either of us that Miss Gunther was alone here in this room for a good 4 to 5 minutes that first evening she was here.
Yes, sir. So, you think...
No, I am through pretending to think. Fritz, a young woman, was in here alone for 4 minutes. Now, she had in her pocket a black cylinder, 3 by 6 inches. On the assumption that she hid it in this room, find it.
Should we divide the room in sections?
I don't care.
I just start looking.
Confound that woman.
Mr. Wolfe?
Yes.
Is this it?
Ideal. Ideal. Yes, she really was extraordinary. Archie, start the machine. Fritz, I congratulate you. You tried the bottom shelf first, which was sensible.
Well, this may do it.
What's the matter? Won't it go?
Certainly it will go. Please, don't hurry me. I'm nervous. I have the brain of a mollusk.
Miss Gunther, this is for no one but you and me. I have just had a talk with Henry A. Warder.
For 5 minutes, neither of us moved a muscle.
Bribery, and he claims that his only purpose is to acquaint me with the facts, so that I can put a stop to it by getting rid of the corrupt.
When it came to the end, I reached and turned the switch off.
You have Miss Kramer's phone number.
Yes, sir.
Good. Get him. Our literature needs some revisions. For example, dead men tell no tales. Mr. Boone is dead. Mr. Boone is silent. But he speaks.
The silent speaker. Inspector Kramer, please.
By 4 o'clock, our guests were seated. Inspector Kramer was in the red leather chair. In chairs nearby were our former client, Don O'Neill. Saul Panzer was by the Globe. O'Neill's vice president, Henry A. Warder, and Alger Cates from the Bureau of Price Regulation.
This is going to be disagreeable, gentlemen, for all three of you. So let's make it as brief as we can. We have found the 6th cylinder. It was hidden in this room by Miss Gunther last week. Now, we shall now listen to that cylinder. I beg you, do not interrupt. Archie, turn it on.
Miss Gunther, this is for no one but you and me. I have just had a talk with Henry A. Warder, vice president of O'Neill and Warder, and he told me the following.
Nothing, Stern. You sit down, huh?
That was under a pledge of confidence.
Can it? Go ahead, Goodwin.
Warder has known for several months that the president of his company, Don O'Neill, has spent at least $16,000 bribing a member of the BPR staff. Warder strongly disapproves of bribery, and he claims that his only purpose is to acquaint me with the facts, so that I can put a stop to it by getting rid of the corrupted subordinate. Now, this will be a surprise to you. I know it was to me. The man O'Neill has bought is Alger Cates for a miserable $16,000. Now, I don't think I would mind so much being betrayed for something up in the millions, but for $16,000? If I were to face Cates right now, I think I'd get my fingers around his throat and choke him to death.
What about it, Mr. Cates? When you entered that room and Mr. Boone found himself face to face with you, did he get his fingers around your throat?
No.
You just stay out of this, Cates. Just keep your mouth shut.
Oh, that's marvelous, Mr. O'Neill. It really is. I mean, almost verbatim. That first evening that you were here, you admonished him in the same manner, like an employer to an employee, as indeed it was. I had 20 men working on the connection between the two of you.
The police were utterly incompetent. They should have found that piece of pipe within a few hours.
For Christ's sake, listen to him. He's sore. He's a fool. He's a contemptible fool. For God's sakes, man. I didn't think you were capable of murder.
Neither did I. She wouldn't even promise to destroy that cylinder. She wouldn't even promise. I should have killed you at the same time. I could have. You were afraid of me. You're afraid of me now. You say that you're surprised that I'm gonna commit murder. You knew all about it.
Take it easy. How did he know all about it?
I told him.
That's a lie.
Shut up. When did you tell him?
Mr. Kramer, isn't this a waste of time? I mean, you're going to have to go through all of this again downtown. Well, this gentleman seems ready to cooperate.
He's ready for the electric chair.
Yeah.
As bad as he is, Mr. O'Neill, he has the grace to accept the inevitable with a degree of decorum. You, on the contrary, try to wiggle.
I'm seeing this through. I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, but you are. You're going to jail. What about it, Mr. Warder? Are you going to repudiate your interview with Mr. Boone?
I'm going to tell the truth.
Did Mr. Boone tell the truth on the cylinder?
Yes, he did.
There you are, sir. Bribery is a felony. Mr. Kramer, get them out of here. I can't stand to look at them anymore. Archie, pack up that cylinder. Mr. Kramer might want to take it with him.
Hold it a second, Goodwin. I'd like to use your phone.
Kramer didn't ask for the homicide office, but instead went straight to the top.
Commissioner!
Yeah?
Inspector Kramer!
What? Kramer?
Yes, sir.
What, you at the station?
No, sir. I'm at Nero Wolfe's office.
You trying to pull something?
No, sir. I'm not trying to horn in, but...
Kramer, get out of there. I'll have you on charges.
Yes, sir. I'm aware that would be a breach of discipline, but if you just...
Is Wolfe there?
Certainly Wolfe is here.
Or did you break in?
No, I didn't break in. I've got the man, I've got the evidence,
What?
and I've got the confession.
You got him?
Yes, sir. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Send 3 cars and 6 men.
You on the level, Kramer?
Yes, sir. I'm telling you. The case is finished.
Kramer phoned for an appointment at 11 o'clock the next day.
Ah. So, will you have some beer?
No thanks. I suppose I won't. I got a busy day. I guess you heard I'm back at my desk. Inspector Ash has been moved to Staten Island.
Yes, we heard. I congratulate you.
Much obliged. So with me back at my old stand, you better watch your step. You try pulling any fast ones, I'm still gonna be on your neck.
Well, I wouldn't dream of pulling a fast one.
Yeah, sure. Just so we understand each other.
Yes.
Well, that's gratitude for you.
I said that's gratitude for you. That's a hell of a way to say thank you.
Oh, Archie. One of your most serious defects is that you have no sentiment. None.
Nuts. I am sentimental about this $100,000 reward from the NIA, I tell you that. Should have known you would never return $30,000 if you didn't have your eye on a real good replacement.
That was businesslike of them, paying the reward so promptly.
Little do they know.
Little do they know what?
Now, there are several ways we could do this, all right? But what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to provide the answers.
What the devil are you talking about?
Question number 1. When did you find the cylinder? Saturday afternoon when you waddled in here in your pajamas and belittled your brain? No, of course not. Not a chance. You knew where it was the whole time. Question number 2. Why, if you knew where the cylinder was, did you pester Mrs. Boone to tell you? Answer, because you wanted to make sure she didn't know, so that she couldn't go to the police and get the $100,000 check herself. Question number 3. What's the big deal? Huh? If you found the cylinder, why didn't you just give it up? Answer, because you don't like the NIA. You don't like the NIA, and you wanted to prolong the pain as long as possible.
Yes, well, you left one thing out.
What's that?
Miss Gunther.
What about her?
She had displayed remarkable audacity and even imagination in using the murder of Mr. Boone for a purpose that he would have approved. Now, surely she deserved not to have her murder wasted. I found myself in a position to see that it wasn't.
Yeah, but...
I almost forgot. This is for you. Hope you like it.
Oh my God, twice in one day. First Miss Gunther, and now Kramer brings you an orchid. When will all this sentiment end?
Rasolelio cattleya. It's handsome.